So this might sound dumb, but I think that Gacha, a music video recently released by the Pokemon Company, does a better job telling an emotionally compelling story than almost anything else they've released in recent memory. And while part of that is probably just that the song Acacia by Bump of Chicken is really beautiful, I also really liked the visual storytelling, so I'm gonna go through the entire video to try and figure out why it works so well. I will not be analyzing the song itself because I don't know shit about music, so with no further ado, the video starts on a strong note with 4 kids walking on train tracks, which is a reference to Red, Blue, and Yellow, where the TV in the player's house was showing this exact same scene, which I'm pretty sure was also a reference to Stand By Me, but I haven't seen Stand By Me, so I could have the wrong movie. Starting with this is basically a message to the few people who will catch this detail, i.e. hardcore fans, that this video is for them, which is a nice sentiment and immediately gets them on board for whatever the video is doing. Next, there's a couple montages of the 2 main characters' lives who aren't given names, so I'm just gonna refer to them as the boy and the girl in this video. The boy is set up to be a mostly happy kid except when he's studying, and said shot of him studying feeds into this shot of him at what I assume is like a graduation or induction into school, but aside from coming after the shot of him presumably studying and the kids wearing glasses next to him, there's not really much evidence of that. And I can't really be sure because I can't read kanji and thus don't know what this thing behind him says. But regardless, these shots seem to imply that the boy is smart. His montage is then capped out of this shot with him waking up, and the fact that it's still light out and we haven't seen him doing anything the night before implies that he's lazy for only just getting up. This heavily contrasts the last few shots as he seemed to be a fairly energetic kid and it shows that things have changed for him. After that, the girl gets a montage with the same structure as the boys, being made up of 4 pictures, 2 of her happy, followed by 1 of her unhappy, then capped off with another picture of her happy. The repeated structure tells the audience that these 2 characters are similar, but when the girl's montage cuts to animation in the present day, it emphasizes how little she's changed, with the animation of her kissing Eevee being a direct continuation of the final picture, where she was about to do the same thing. These montages set the characters up as foils for each other. They're very similar people, both of whom have had happy childhoods, but the boy seems to have lost that happiness while the girl continues hers. There's also implied contrast between the boy's implied intelligence and the girl's high energy demeanor, which is a pretty common trait for anime characters who aren't very smart. The girl also acts very energetic in her full animation, which again contrasts the boy, who is drowsy in his. The next shots continue this personality contrast between the 2 characters, with the boy walking through his dark house with a noticeable slouch and the girl energetically running outside to start her journey. After that, the girl and her Eevee skip along, none of the attacks about to hit them even remotely phasing them, until the girl has to scoop up her Eevee to escape a boulder that the boy emerges from under before continuing his lazy slouching walk. That is, until a trash can lid knocks him down for good measure. Then the video cuts back to the girl, who's energetically jumping back up. This part continues to show the characters' differing personalities. I've used the words energetic and lazy enough that it should be pretty clear what they are, but it also shows the differences in how the characters approach life. The girl is very clearly having fun going through this fantasy world and doesn't let anything get her down, whereas the boy almost feels like he's doing this out of obligation, and thus when he gets hit, we don't see him get back up, implying he's not the type of person who picks himself back up, and that makes the bad things that happen to him feel more tragic. On the other hand, the girl, who had to run from a boulder, doesn't let her troubles get her down and happily picks herself right back up. During this, the characters are also walking in front of a billboard that flashes images of all the gym leaders, Elite Four members, and trial captains of the different Pokemon types, which helps with the nostalgia angle the first shot was clearly going for. The segment then ends with the girl jumping down some stairs before it cuts to the boy who's reacting to his Pikachu suddenly disappearing between cuts. This ushers in the darkest hour of the video, which intersplices the boy and the girl completely alone without their Pokemon in the same shot in the middle of a giant empty city with all of the legendary Pokemon being shown as giant shadows being cast over them. I really like this depiction of the legendaries. It makes them feel mystically unknowable, with you unable to see anything more than their shadows. And the tininess of the main characters emphasizes the legendaries' size and power. In addition, by coming after the main characters who have lost their Pokemon, it makes them feel malevolent, like an angry god. This part is then capped off by the leaders of the evil teams hanging over the boy in the same shadowy style. Then it shows the main characters continuing to be interspliced at the same location, much closer up, but also in grayscale, with the only things in full color being their eyes and the barely visible sky behind them, really emphasizing how alone the characters are without their Pokemon. Then the boy finds the girl's Eevee, and it's implied the girl finds the boy's Pikachu. And then the protagonists of every game through X and Y are shown running past the boy in the same style the legendaries and evil team leaders were depicted in. However, the game protagonists' much friendlier demeanor, as well as being much more clearly defined, makes them feel less like dangerous threats and more like legends to live up to. And I think that this, as well as the fact that the game protagonists are only shown when the boy is on screen, tells us a lot about his character. In short, I think the boy is someone who feels like he's supposed to live up to these amazing people who have saved the world and conquered their respective leagues, but like he never can. And because he feels like no matter what he does he won't be able to live up to these people, there's no point in trying, but he still does it because that's what's expected of him. After this, there's some really cool shots of the champions and casts of different games doing things. These are all really cool, and their main purpose is to connect with the nostalgic old fan message that I've brought up a few times, and frequently feels like it's injecting life into parts of the games that they couldn't make as good, either because of technical limitations or some other reason. In particular, I really like the moments that show Charon, Bianca, and Hilda from Black and White walking together before Charon and Bianca are aged up and Hilda is replaced with Nate from Black and White 2, showing the changing of the guard, as it were. And the moments with the Sun and Moon cast where it feels like Hao is accidentally taking the piss out of Gladian's edginess with his happy demeanor, and Moon is energetically supporting Lily with her Z-pose, but also sort of intruding on her moment. It makes it feel like these characters have a much more realized dynamic than they do in the game, and I really like it. This part then ends with the fight between Red and Gold, and I am so down for it. It feels like a real snippet of what that legendary battle between those two was actually like, and it transitions really well back into the narrative of the boy and the girl, with Red's hat being blown off and landing on the head of the Pikachu, who's sitting on the girl's bag, as well as the rain from the fight continuing to be present in the next couple shots. Said shots show the boy and girl in different parts of the city from before, with Kyogre silhouetted over the girl and Groudon silhouetted over the boy, once again emphasizing their nature as foils. Then the cloudy sky clears up, and the girl runs off, and the video cuts to one tracking shot of the Galar gym leaders and Leon, which makes them feel powerful and intimidating, but the flashes of personality they show doesn't make them feel malevolent, which is exactly the feel I think gym leaders and champions should have, but the games rarely succeed in having. Then the video just shows the cast of the Galar games, which is nice, and a single shot of the Leon fight, which is cool, but I don't have much to say about. This part cuts back to the narrative of the boy and girl in a similar way to how they previously did, with Leon's hat flying off and landing on Eevee as opposed to Red's hat on Pikachu. Then the boy and girl meet for the first time in the video, with Pikachu and Eevee going back to their original trainers, followed by a shot of the billboard they're standing in front of with all the professors and followed by all the starters on it, which is really cute. Then Pikachu and Eevee put Red and Leon's hats on their respective trainers, and I think this is a really cool way of fulfilling the boy's arc. He thought he wasn't able to live up to the previous protagonists, but he ended up with the first one's hat without even realizing it. It's also another good way of demonstrating how both the boy and girl are similar, with both getting the hat of a champion, but the boy gets the hat from the champion of the earliest generation, whereas the girl gets the hat from the champion of the latest generation. Then, as the boy and girl walk away, the billboards they walk past show different post-game battle locations, like the Battle Subway, the Battle Maison, and the White Forest. This tells the audience that the characters' main journeys are over, but there are still things to do, as the boy and girl walk towards the endless horizon, a shot that mirrors the starting one of the boys on the train tracks, and then cuts back to it, as a way of reminding people that no matter where Pokemon goes, it all started here. Then finally, it shows Mew being caught by a figure who's impossible to fully make out, but is very clearly not a boy or girl. The implication that this is you, the player of the games, going out and catching any Pokemon you can find, and I think that's an amazing note to end on. Hey, thanks for watching! I know I haven't uploaded in a while, and that's probably going to continue for a decent bit after this. I'm planning to make at least 4 videos before uploading any more, so that I have time to work on videos but can still upload weekly. Also, I have a second channel. It's called Ace Exists, and I talk about my experiences as an asexual. Also, it has my real face, so go check it out if either of those things interest you. And with that being said, please like, subscribe, ring the bell, and follow me on Twitter, link below.